Hi guys, and welcome to another Q&A. I haven't done one in ages, but I wanted to have a good reason to actually use the camera again, try some lighting, try some better camera settings and so on, because right now I'm trying the first time 4K just to see how it would look in editing and also. But one thing that I really noticed about this new camera, lighting is completely something different. I have to set it completely different because now almost all the lights are turned off. And the odd thing is, the more I have, because all my lights usually from the dual cam setup are on the from me now on the left side, and then all my half of my face is bright and half of it is not. So I really will have to have some more excuses to use it even more the next few times. So let's start with the Q&A. The first question from Matthias Alnorby. Do you often use custom ROMs or root your devices? If so, why? Also, do you know if the work on custom ROMs on Huawei devices is active or is it locked down due to the hardware? So, to get to the first questions, do you often use custom ROMs? On my personal device, I definitely always use a custom ROM. And if I root my device, of course, I always root if it's possible. For right now, it's the Sony Z3. I always use it with a custom ROM because they allow me to get me more features, and for most important reason for me, that is exposed to get the DPI settings to make just everything smaller, because out of the box the screen real estate on Android is still way too big for me and I need it smaller. But I need the DPI settings to get still SwiftKey to be big enough, because if I would tone down everything just with DPI itself, then the keyboard would be way too small. So that's why. And is custom ROM development on Huawei devices active? From what I get is there's only root support. I haven't seen any ROM so far because it seems to be very locked down due to the Kirin SoC. So maybe there are some stack ROMs that are modified, but I even didn't see that on the Mate S, because I actually thought about buying that since it's on with a deal right now and the 100 euros off because of Chinese New Year, but doesn't seem to be. And until they fix that issue, I am staying away from them as my personal device as much as I would want to, because I still on my personal devices heavily rely on something like root and custom ROMs and so on. Normal people wouldn't. So the next question from Destiny Carico. In your opinion, has the average build quality of devices gone down over the past years? Are OEMs making them too flimsy? And actually, I think it's quite the opposite, because if I see devices now these days for $150, $200, they are built way better in my opinion. So I would definitely not say that it has gone down. Maybe on some of the flagships, like for example the LG G4 doesn't really feel as of a premium device, but this will change this year, but it still feels great. I'm just saying about the build quality, it's not the flagship level that we have on the Sony devices, on the current Samsung devices, or maybe on a Motorola and so on, but this year they will definitely keep up. But even the lower end device that I use from them, they were quite solid. For example, Microsoft is the worst counterproductive example, because their 950 feels way cheaper than any other flagship, so they didn't really improve anything. They are actually gone down. But the rest, all the cheaper devices this year I tried for about $150, $200, absolutely were built fine. So I would definitely say no. The next one again from Matthias Alnoby. Also, show us your setup on your daily driver, apps and widgets. Actually, there's not too much to show. I did one setup tour, I think it was last year, and nothing has really changed, because as you can see, here, I don't have any home screens. I have only one with my shortcuts. No widget, nothing at all. Like half a year ago, I still had two widgets in use, and it was the calendar and it was Google Keep. But I have Keep on a shortcut now, and the calendar I don't use enough to see what appointments I have. I just check it if I make some, but I really don't check it. So there's not really much to show. The apps are pretty much all the same. A few little changes, so not enough. So I should make one. So that's it. You can still check my old setup tour. I will link it down below. The next one from Corey May. Do you have insurance on for your main phone? Why and or why not should customers shell out for this monthly fee? Actually, I don't know if Germany even has something like a protection plan, because I know you can get a longer warranty on your phones here in Germany in shops, but I never really heard of some protection plans like in the US. Maybe you can go to your insurance company and ask for something like that, but I've never heard anyone in Germany doing something like that. Only in the US so far, and maybe something with Apple Care, but I've never even heard of Apple Care in Germany. So definitely no, but even if I wouldn't, because none of my devices ever got something, and if I think you're still better off, because no, actually I heard once there was something like this protection plan. I'm not quite sure what it was, but even they said for the money you're shelling out on the course of over 1 or 2 years, it's not worth, because at that point you can already buy another phone again. So I definitely wouldn't ever, even if I could, but possibilities are quite limited here. The next one from Florian Liviu: please make a Huawei Mate 8 versus Nexus XP. Uh, I would definitely like to do that, but that's simply not possible at the moment, because I still haven't even used the 6P. I haven't even seen it, because no store here in Germany has it for some reason. All have the 5X, but not a single shop has the 6P. It's only available on Google Play for some reason, and I don't know why. And I'm still waiting from either Google side or Huawei side to get the 6P, but for some reason not even Huawei has the Google 6P. They only have the Mate 8 and all these, but I'm not quite sure why they don't get the Nexus device, as if it's treated really more like a Google device. So I will have to rely on Google to give me that, and that could take a while, but I will ask them once again. For the only a little bit of an unfortunate reason is that the contact I have on Google's side is a little bit slow. So sometimes he doesn't respond for 2 or 3 weeks, and I have to just try to contact him again. So it could take a while, but what I could do is a comparison telling you the differences, but not showing off, because I won't be able, because I won't have both at the same time here, and that's a little bit unfortunate. If I would be a big YouTuber who buys devices and keeps them, I could do these kind of things, but I'm so way off of that, so all I could do is tell you the differences. Sorry. The next one from John Matthews: what is your opinion on Donald Trump? What phone will be the best? Okay, let's get one after Donald. What's your opinion of Donald Trump? He's in the US, and I don't really care so much, because it doesn't really impact me directly. Of course it will, once, just thinking if he would be president or something, then it would influence us maybe. But I don't know. He's a little bit of a wacko, but I think there are still possibilities to be worse. I'm not sure, because I don't even vote here, because I don't live in the country that I could vote for. I can't vote for Germany because I'm no official German citizen, still of Slovenian citizenship, even though I feel myself as a Croatian. But I don't even vote here, so I don't really want to talk about politics. I don't really care so much about that. What phone will be the best of the year? I think it's way too early to tell that. And actually, if I would even say the best phone of the year, then it's something later this year. Because all these phones will be the first generation of Snapdragon 820 devices, and they won't be the best, because there will be something later this year that will be better. And I think chances are good if there will be really an HTC Nexus and they make something proper. And I'm not quite so sure about one thing, because everyone says if HTC makes them and Google wants to take more responsibility or more take matters in their hands, they want to get it to their side and have more influence than HTC, which I'm not quite so sure, because I like what HTC does on their own with some little influence of Google. It would be nice, but I don't want Google to make too much. But I think these could be the best ones. But let's talk about the first half. Then I think the HTC One M10 seems to be quite a great phone. The G5, of course, and maybe the Sony if they make a bigger change. And of course also Samsung, but it's really too hard to tell since none of them is out yet. We will have to wait a little bit for that. The next one. Have you watched the TV show Arrow? I did watch it, I think full 2 seasons, or maybe I broke it off at season 2 at some point, but at that point it was a little bit too dark for me, too depressing, and a little bit something that I don't want, because mostly I want a TV show that is really engaging me, that is interesting, exciting, or just entertaining. And at that point in time when I watched Arrow, it was a little bit of a downer for me. And not that I don't watch maybe like more dramatic shows, and so, but at that point it just didn't fit me with the kind of dark or superhero. Back now that since I still watch Flash, I thought going back, watching it again, but I've missed like 2 seasons by now, so it's hard to go back. I would have had to binge watch it, and I just don't have the time to that, and I'm not super much. I'm okay, because I still watch too many shows anyways. The next one, opinions on immigration crisis. None at all. I don't want to go into that, because I had this discussion at work already, and I had it even on a comment that I got recently, because there was a funny comment. No, okay, actually it wasn't funny at that point. But someone said, when I made a review of the Lumia 950, and he posted a comment and said, what was it? Doesn't matter which phone, because in Bundesrepublik, which is quite wrong, because let's say Germany, there are immigrants anyways, and they will steal it. And I was a little bit offended myself, because if you see it properly, I am an immigrant myself, because my parents came from Croatia, came to Germany, and I still, since I am of non-German citizenship, I'm still an immigrant of some kind, and that's why I felt a little bit offended. He said sorry for that, it was a little bit wrong, but it is so okay. He's talking about the new immigrants from the countries that have it worse right now, not the old immigrants that built up the country actually, but there are good ones, there are bad ones, there are really bad ones, but we don't really get impacted here right now. We have some here in country, but I haven't gotten in contact with them. Really don't want to get into that. That's not my cup of tea. How would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? Yeah, a woodchuck would if a woodchuck would cut wood, but I think it can't, because a woodchuck can't chuck wood. That was what. Okay. Jason M. Ever considered coming over to iPhone land or using one alongside your Android main phone? Gotta say, they suck more than what I thought. So, simple answer, no, I haven't. Okay, well, actually, if he says I have a thought about it, have I considered? Yeah, I actually did consider about it. But the thing is, I don't use 2 phones at a time. I only use one as my personal phones. Of course, I use more if I have a review on it and so on. But if I have one personal phone, then that's it. I don't use 2. If I would have 2, I would just use one anyways, because actually I've no proper reason and no real way to use 2 phones, because I only have one connection, one line. I thought about doing 2 phones and getting 2 numbers or the same number on the 2 cards with the same number, but on my current provider that's not possible. It's possible on some to use the same number on 2 cards, but that would make me have to switch, and then I would lose my good plan of $15 a month for 5 gigabytes, and I don't want to risk that. So I would only use one phone, and then using it as my main phone is just not possible, because I only review Android phones. I need to have at least one Android phone. That's where I come from. I always used. I think I would be able to pull it off on an iPhone, just as my main reason. But I would miss a lot of things, the customizability, the options, and so on. But I don't think the experience would be too bad. I use an iPad every day a lot, and I like the experience, and I'm not quite sure if it's the same on a phone, but I actually don't think it would be too bad. Let me quickly check how long the video is going. So, but that's the downside, because I should maybe make a timer to see how long the videos are, because now if I would have the flip monitor open, I would always look at that, but I want to look at the lens. So I didn't really consider it, because like I said, no 2 phones for me, and I don't really need 2 phones. I have no need for them. If I would have 2, even with the same number and with 2 different lines, definitely not, because what would I use it for? Because I don't really take calls anyways, and paying for something twice, that is okay, because I don't really use a phone that much anymore at work, or anywhere else. So 2 of them, definitely not. The next one from Jeremy Collins. What are your possible options for trading up from your Z3 for your personal phone? What are your personal options for trading? You mean what I would think about getting now as the next phone? Right now, there is no option for me, because as I said already, like over half a year, maybe even a year ago, there is no phone on the market good enough, or let's say improved enough or worth it changing or switching to it. So I will wait for it, but if I'm really looking forward to the M10 that I said it, or maybe the G3. It depends. These are the 2 main ones I think so far. Not so much Sony, because I absolutely want a Super AMOLED display. On the G5 we could at least get an OLED display, maybe not AMOLED, since they want to make always on as well. And so my two options are the M10 or the G5, not the Samsung, because I talked about it in the video. I lose my gestures and they don't properly work on a Samsung phone for some reason. They just got rid of that. So these two. Sharat Daniel, ever wanted to travel to another country? If so, which ones? The two the two ones that always come up to my mind is definitely USA. I would really like to go once to the USA, but for a European or someone who lives in Germany, which is comparatively a very small country, the USA is huge. And you can't just say I want to visit USA. You would have to say I want to maybe visit one specific state, because it's such a variety of states. If I go to California, it would be something completely different if I would go maybe to Texas or all the other ones that are maybe more to the south or in the west, in the north. There are so many differences. If one thing would be great if I would have like 3 months and I could travel all around, or half a year, but that's so expensive. But that would be a kind of a lifelong dream. The other country actually would be, I think, Japan, because Japan seems very interesting, very odd, and very crazy, so much different from all the other countries. So that would be it. Last question from John Matthews. Oh yeah, have you ever traveled outside of Germany? Not really traveled, because I am, to be honest, I am a little bit too greedy or too stingy to actually travel properly. Because I always think if I would go to a country, for example, on a travel somewhere, and then I have a trip of, let's say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then I pay like, I'm not quite sure how much that actually costs, let's say 1,000 or 2,000 euros. And then I come back, and what do I have then in my hands? And nothing. I have a great experience. I had a great experience. I learned a lot of things. I saw a lot of things. I have great memories. But I'm someone who wants to have, for what he spends for money, in his hands. And this is something that I just because I'm a very materialistic person. I'm not quite sure why, but that was always the case since I was a kid. If I spend money, I want to have something in my hands. I want to use it every day. I wanted to make my life easier. I wanted to make my life more comfortable, something useful. And every time I spend something on, if I go, for example, out with friends, that's not too much money. That is something that you have memories as well. Or if you have a poker night and spend a lot of money there, or something like that, where you are still locally doing something, but not spending like in the 1,000 euro range something to get somewhere and have memories, that's okay. But if we go on a 2-week trip or so, I don't see that much. But the countries I have visited, or actually more like driven through, Austria, of course, because if I visit my relatives or where my parents have a house in Slovenia or Croatia, I of course visit Slovenia, Croatia. I have to drive through Austria, so I saw these. I was once, I think, I'm not quite sure if I was in Switzerland, actually. I don't think so, no. And where it was in Turkey, but in Turkey I was only for 3 days because of my laser eye surgery. And why that? Because at that point, and maybe still even now, the woman that made it was one of the pioneers in laser surgery, and she was the best. She was highly recommended, and it was definitely worth it. So these were pretty much all the countries. I never really visited for a country just for a vacation. Unless the two ones, like Slovenia and Croatia, where I have relatives or my parents the house. Austria also was just a drive-through, more something like that. So no other countries. Actually quite poor if you consider that Europe is so small compared to the USA, and driving to another country is like driving to another state for you. And I'm pretty sure most of you did still visit more states than I did countries, which is comparatively the same. But that's it for the questions. I hope you enjoyed them. I don't really think I have to say it, but if you want to leave a like, leave a comment. And if you maybe missed the opportunity to ask a question because it wasn't short notice, I just posted it yesterday, you can just leave another question here, but do at least something, put a big Q in front of the comment or in the beginning, so I see it's a question and another comment to anything I said. And if you want to comment on something, it would be highly appreciated. I hope you enjoyed this video. How long was it? Let me quickly check. 20 minutes. Not that bad. Actually more like 19 for you. But I hope everything was okay, and I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy your weekend, and until next time, bye.